Hi everyone, welcome back to day 3 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. This is Sandy. I've already pre-cut my cardstock for our waterfall section. That's what we're going to be working on today. So that is the section when we open up our folio album that we see here with the striped paper. Now I did goof up from my original one. I should have put the hinge or the attachment flap of our closure here before I put down the patterned paper, but that's okay. I'm going to add a pocket, which I think will work just as fine. I think I like having a pocket under there anyway, so we're not to worry about that. So this is where we're going to be working today, adding our waterfall flaps, and we'll also put the patterned paper on those. So I'm going to set that aside. I've cut my cardstock, as I said. I'll give you the measurements. It's also be in the cutting guide, which is in each video. I will add the link to it. It is one cutting guide, but I'll add it in the link for each video. I also have my pattern papers cut. Now, your waterfall, of course, is a pretty good size. It's going to be an 8 by 8 when it's finished. So you're going to be cutting 7 7/8 by 7 7/8 pattern paper to go on there, which takes a full 12 by 12, unless you're using 8 by 8 paper pad on your project. So for now, I am just going to be covering the top of my waterfall. And later on, if I have enough papers left over and I want to, I will pattern the inside of each flap. Now this one is just going to be staggered with different papers. You could, if you wanted to, do just the bottom strips where you have an image. But for this one, I didn't on the original, so I'm not going to do it on this one. So let's go over the chipboard pieces. I mean, not the chipboard, excuse me. Let's go over our cardstock pieces that I've already cut, and then we'll do the scoring for that. So for the waterfall, we need 6 pieces for the flaps. Cut 6, so that's 6 sheets of cardstock, 8 inches by 8.5, and then you need the closure piece that you need one that is 7.5 by 2.5, and then for that add-on pocket, we're going to cut one at 9 by 3. Okay, so I'm going to lay this aside here, get our scoring done. So let's grab our closure piece first, and we're going to score on the 7.5 inch side at 1/2 inch, and that makes our attachment piece right there. Okay, and then for each waterfall, we're going to score. You have your 8 by 8.5. We're going to score 1/2 inch on the 8.5 inch side. So you score at 1/2 inch. And go ahead and do that on all 6 of these. Okay, and then for the pocket, you need to score the 9 inch side at 1/2 inch, 8.5, turn, score the 3 inch side at 1/2 inch to create this pocket. Okay, so we can move the scoreboard now, and we're ready to fold and burnish our score lines. Got my bone folder. I have my bone folder, and on each of your 6 waterfall flaps, fold that 1/2 inch score line that you have. Make sure it's scored and folded well, and burnish that. And sometimes I like to go ahead and do it backwards, especially with the artisan cardstock. You can do that so that it folds nicely in the book. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Also on your closure piece, do the same thing. We'll do the pocket last. Show you the scoring on it. So there's the closure. So now I'm going to do all of these. Okay, so for the pocket, we're going to first miter these corners where the two lines intersect on the bottom, and just cut right across those intersecting lines at an angle like that, cutting off little triangles. We're going to fold this up and burnish. And when you do that, just double check your corners, make sure they're not overlapping. If they are, trim just a little bit off. Mine look good. So that's a pocket. Now in this one, I'm not going to do a punch because I'm using a certain paper that I want this whole strip across. So there's the pocket. Let's set that aside for now. And let's grab our waterfall pieces. Make sure all your tabs, attachment tabs, are at the top so you don't get anything upside down. And we're going to go ahead and add our patterned paper next. So before we add the patterned papers, we're going to need to ink our patterned papers, and I'll show you here what I cut out. So I have 6 that I cut. I used an assortment of from the collection and then some of the patterns and solids. So I did want the signature one on the very first front. So I measured it so that I could get most of this border. This one's a little shorter at the top and the bottom, so that I get the 7 7/8 wide by 7 7/8 tall. So you need to plan your cut on your signature image to get all that you want. Okay, so all of these are cut 7 7/8 wide by 7 7/8 tall. So I chose this one. Then the solid purple from the Prints and Solids, my favorite spider webs in the black and white, and then I love this orange and white check from the Prints and Solids. This is from the collection. I decided to go with the pumpkins on the green. This is from Prints and Solids. And then the green from Prints and Solids. And then the words from the Prints and Solids also. So that's my 6 for the waterfall pages. And then for my closure piece, I cut 2 that are 2 3/8 wide by 6 7/8 tall. I cut these out of scraps of paper that I had left from doing the cover. So I have the orange, which I think will go on the inside, and I think the stripe is going to go right here because I like the stripe, and that's what's on the page. So those are the 2 you need for your cover. For your closure piece, and you're also going to need a set of magnets. I'm going to go ahead and grab mine. Again, I'm out of the basic gray. I do recommend one of those. These are little magnets I've had in my stash, and sometimes I have trouble getting them separated. But anyway, there we go. So I have one set of those ready to go for my closure. And I'm writing it down so I don't forget on the cutting list or supply list. And then for the pocket, I cut this one. It's out of a scrap that I had left from the cats. But I like the stamped images here, the little stamps, and then the purple wording on the top. So that's going to fit right on this pocket. And that's why I'm keeping it straight, because of that kind of border. Now to get it where I wanted it, I'm going to have a little bit more black margin top and bottom, but I'm okay with that. So that's for the pocket. And that was cut at 7 7/8 wide by 2 3/8 tall. Okay, so let's go ahead and start inking, and I am going to speed up the camera, the video, while I do the inking. And I am again using the Tim Holtz Distress ink in the pumice stone, and it's getting kind of worn, so I'm probably going to have to get me a new one. Okay, so I've got them all inked and turned them back up the right side. We're going to take one of these flaps here. Make sure it's burnished good on the fold lines, and that's your top, is your fold line up here. And let's take this closure piece right here. Okay, for the closure piece, I am going to do the two top corners. I'm going to, how did I do that? The other place here, let me look. Did I do any of these yet? Yeah. So the outer edge, the cardstock, is the deco. So you can use any punches that you have that you want to do your corners. So I do the cardstock with the deco, and then the patterned paper is going to be stubbed just on one end. Okay, both of these, inside and out. So what we're going to do, we're going to pattern first the front of my closure piece. So let me grab my glue and get it going. I haven't used it yet today. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a pin to it, get it going. So glue doesn't like to start first in the day. Didn't put a pin in it when I ended yesterday, and I should have. Okay, let's see how that does. All the way around the perimeter. And this is just the front. Then the next thing we're going to do, we're going to attach a magnet to the back side of this. So line this up, put it where I can see it, kind of match it up there. There we go. Burnish that down. So that's the front. And we're going to turn it over, and we're going to take one of these magnets, and I'm going to glue it in the center about an inch from the edge. There. Now, if you're using the basic gray, you're going to pull the adhesive off and use that. And I would recommend you use the large one. Put some tape, a little bit more than I needed there. Put some tape there. And then the orange one's going to go here. Solid paper. Really having to squeeze this glue out. It'll get loosened up better in a minute. I have a love-hate relationship with glue. I like to use glue, but I get really irate when it clogs up. Haven't found a solution yet. Pins sometimes work, sometimes they don't. And hang on a second. Okay, had to do some more pin work on it to try to get it to come on out. Must have a clog in there somewhere. Get this one going here. It's just not wanting to work today. My pen is also bent, so it's not getting in there where it needs to. Come on, you can give me enough to get this one on. And then I will pause and go clean out my tip here. Okay, so there's that one. Whoops, Move it over a little more on this side. There we go. Okay, burnish that down, especially over your magnet. And burnish. Okay, so there's our closure piece. So now I'm going to turn this off, and then I'll be back after I've worked on my glue bottle. So we're back in business, and I'm happy for that. So let's grab our book before we do anything else. We're going to attach this flap down. And the magnet is going to go on the very first flap. So I want this to be centered. So it is about 2.5, and we have a space of the pattern paper that's, what is it, 8 3/4. So just going to measure and get equal this way a little bit. So we got about 3 there, and just a little more. There we go. 3 1/8. Because I don't like to do math. Okay, so right there. This side right here. So put some glue on this back side of this flap. It's the one that's when it's folded under. And I'll line it up along the edge of the pattern paper. Get it nice and straight here. Double check my centering. It's kind of hard to see with all the stripes. So that's good. Okay, put that back. Get your glue cleaned off of there. Too much glue. And I'm going to wipe that off quick. So it's not got a lot of glue. It dries clear, but I don't want a bunch of gaudy glue there. And burnish that. Now this is where the pocket's going to hide this. So let's go ahead and do that pocket now. I'm close this up for now and pattern that pocket. So let's grab that. So we've already got this all folded, and we're going to put our pattern paper right here on the top. And like I said, it's going to have, mine has a little more border. Depends on what paper you're using. So line this up and burnish that down. So I've got to get this glue working so I may have to start putting it in upside down into my holder thing. Okay, so open this up in here. Open this back. So this pocket is going to fit. Now it's not going to go all the way to the end because I did that on purpose. And right here, first we're going to put this one down, and that will cover that up. And then we'll put some tape on that to make sure it doesn't snag. So get you some glue if you can get it out of your, I'm really having to squeeze on this, out of your glue container. Put it in my holder upside down here. Then glue this along the bottom. Want to make sure your flap can go over that. And center it. Burnish that down. Put it back. Burnish. That glue, sticking it down, and then we're going to take the tape, clear tape, because you're not going to be able to see this once the pocket's on. But I want to seal up this edge here so that what we put down into our pocket doesn't snag. Now we're ready to put the glue on the remaining 2 side flaps. And bring those up and then burnish that down. So there's our pocket on and our closure flap for when the waterfalls get on. So let's close this up again. Now then, this first one, we're not going to be able to put our pattern paper on until we've added our magnet. So I'm going to set that one aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and put pattern paper on all the rest. So I am going to speed up the video for that. So put all your pattern papers on. If you want to do any kind of corner things, you can. I am not. The original one was straight, so I'm going to leave mine straight and just get this all patterned up. It's not just my glue that's not working, it's also my brain that's not working today because I cut out 8 pattern papers, so you only need 6. So I have these like this, and I'm just deciding which order I want to put them in. I like the orange, then the spiders, the purple, okay, like that. Okay. So I've got those ready to go, and this one we're not going to put on yet. So I apologize if you, I hope you just cut out 6. I did say 6 in the first, but I don't know why I cut out 8. So we're ready to put these into the book. Okay, so let's put these waterfalls in. So here's the album. I'm going to open it up. This is the section that we're going to do it in, but I want to turn it all the way around upside down so that I can get these in easier. Now this is going to fit the first one. Doesn't have the pattern paper on it yet. I'm going to fit it in right on the edge of the printed paper here at the top and make sure that it's even with this pocket down here. So let's open up our closure flap. What we're going to do where our attachment tab, where this hinges, where it's the score line's folded down, and I've worked on my glue, so I hope it's good now to go. There we go. Maybe too much now, huh? Really had to do a major surgery on it. Wipe some of that off. So put your glue on, and then down here at the top, remember I flipped it over. I'm going to line this up along the edge. Make sure it's nice and even with that even with the pocket down there. See that? I want to make sure these sides are even, and this is even across the top. Make sure everything's straight. I'm going to burnish it. Okay. open it up, and I'm going to burnish it some more. It's real important to get this first one on straight. Okay, so I'm going to close it down. Now then, we're ready for the magnet. So we're going to I'm going to turn everything back around to the front with the tops to the front so we're not confused. Okay, so this closes down over it. Has a magnet already. So I attached my second magnet. If you're using the basic gray, you will peel, I'm sorry, I'm running out of room here. You will peel the back off. Now mine, I'm going to take some tape. Because it doesn't have adhesive. So tape goes on the side that right there. So attach it down so that I've got got the tape going on it. Sticky side up of my tape. I'm going to take my glue, put a bit of glue right there. Then I'm going to close this up. Drop it down and press and let that dry. So you want to let that dry or let that tape grab. You see if it did. Yes. So now we're going to burnish that, and all that glue came out, but that's okay. Now I have too much glue. So this piece is going to go down over the magnet, okay? I'm going to pull this in a little closer to me. Excuse me. We want to put some of this glue on there. I shouldn't have trouble with the glue now. You just have to be careful and not have too much glue. Much better. I'm not fighting it now. Okay, flip it over and let's line this up side to side. Remember, this one may be a little less on the sides. I mean, you may have more black showing, but looks pretty good. I'm going to burnish this Midnight Tales and burnish around that magnet over that. Make sure everything is sticking down good. I've got more glue on this one, so I need more burnishing. But isn't that pretty? And then that closes up like that. And of course, we'll be doing more decorating. We'll add a chipboard piece and things like that. So that's the front one done. Now we're ready to add all the rest of our waterfall flaps. Let me see if this will work this way for me. Okay, I'm going to take the orange one next. And you see that's going to attach the fold of this one. You've got your attachment flap folded back. The fold of this waterfall page goes right against the cut edge of this last one. So that's leaving that 1/2 inch space, which we will put pattern paper once we have scraps to work with to finish that all off later. So take your glue, glue on this flap, and line it up. Make sure it's lined up side to side and right up against that cut edge. And right in here we burnish our flap. That's the first one. I'm going to drop it down and take a look at it, and that works great. So we see the orange there. And yes, it's going to come over the pocket, and that's the way it's supposed to. Remember, we probably wouldn't have had a pocket there if I hadn't have forgotten to put that closure piece there. But I think I'm going to like a pocket in there. So that gives us an extra feature here. So glue on the flap of the next one. Same thing. Line it up. Making sure it's in there nice and tight. Burnish it on this side. Kind of slipped on me right there. Okay. Burnish, burnish, burnish. Lift this up and burnish under here. And now the purple one. Glue on your attachment flap. Oops. Under there. Okay. Line this one up. Okay, burnish. Make sure it's sticking down. Flip up and burnish. Next one is my pumpkins. Burnish underneath, and we have one more. Just dropping it down to see how it looks. Okay, and then bring this up. And the last one. Glue. And line it up. And lots of room for pictures here. Now we will put something here also when we're decorating to cover that up. For now we have the pocket here. And this waterfall closes down. Let me turn this all around. And then that closure keeps it in place. Love it. Love how it looks. So that is what we've done for day 3. Yes, we're on day 3 of our 13 Frights before Halloween, and I will do a little bonus project for you. And so check back tomorrow. The bonus project will follow immediately on this one, but tomorrow check back for day 4. So this is where we're at. Tomorrow I would say we're probably going to work on our acetate pocket. So you need some kind of Halloween type stamp, and you need archival ink, because if you stamp on the acetate without the archival ink, your image will smear. So if you don't have that and you don't want to put any image, that's fine. You can put a pattern paper in, and we'll have a tag that we're going to make that goes in and out anyway. But I have this stamp of a skull that I just love. So I used it in the original album. I'm going to use it again probably in this one, unless you have something that's a pumpkin or a cat. I don't have any of those. Those would be really cute, or several smaller, like made into a scene, would be cute. So anyway, let's go on to the bonus project now and fold this up. And tomorrow we'll be ready to work on our pocket. So this is the front here. For my day 3 bonus project, I saw a really cute little idea of making a coffin shaped box, little box, treat box, or decorative box, or party favor. So I thought I would do that. Now the one I saw was made out of lightweight chipboard. But if you're making this as a party favor or treat box, there's a good chance it's going to get tossed. So I'm going to make it out of artisan cardstock. Though artisan cardstock is, a premium paper, I'm thinking it will hold up really well for something that might get tossed away, rather than going to the trouble of using the lightweight chipboard and then adding the pattern paper inside and out and all the extra stuff there. So anyway, I printed up this little pattern, and I will have the link to this down below in my description of the video for day 3 of my 13 Frights. And you can print it up. Make sure that when you print it up, I did mine landscape like this, and then I also shrink to fit, not fill the page, shrink to fit, otherwise it cuts off some of these right here. So I'm just going to cut the pattern out with my scissors, and we're going to use a sheet of artisan cardstock in the black to make the base. And then I have a scrap of artisan cardstock that I think will work for the lid. Now, granted, if you were going to be making a whole bunch of these for party favors, you might want to find a cheaper cardstock to really make them disposable, throw away. But you want it to be enough weight that it will hold up. So take that into mind. It's the only cardstock I have on hand is artisan. Except I might have some 8.5 by 11. I don't know, and other brand that I sometimes use for card bases. So, but this is what I'm going to use for mine, because I'm not going to make a whole bunch of them. I'm just making this one, see how I like it, and see if it works. So cut out your pattern after you've printed it up. Okay, now we're going to cut one of these out of cardstock. So I also have pulled out a little skeleton guy, some of the scraps of the paper from the Graphic 45 project we're working on. This is the Midnight Tales. I always want to call it something else, but that's pretty sure that's the name. Yeah, Midnight Tales. There's lots of Halloween papers and I get confused. I have my caution washi tape, my gauze. I'm not sure if I'll use it all. Some black crinkled up seam binding ribbon, some orange and black twine, baker's twine. I have a tag, Happy Haunting, with a skull for my stash, and then I have a skull. So we'll see what I want to use. So let's take this full one first. And let's lay out our pattern. And I'm going to scoot it over as far as I can to the side, so that I still have this part left. And I think I'm just going to trace it, see how that does. I have a pencil here. Now then, we're going to fold up. You could score it if you want to. I'm going to take a ruler, I think, and do these side ones first. So from point to point here, I'm just going to fold this up and then burnish that. And this is the base of the coffin. And you see how artisan cardstock's really heavy. It stands up really good, really well. And then the last one. Okay, so there's our little coffin shape. Now we can leave the outside just black if we want to, and we're going to pattern the inside. Now, if you're just making the one, You know, you can print off several patterns if you want to. I'm cutting the sides off just because I need the inside part here. And that's what I'm going to use to cut the lid and the pattern paper. So I'm going to take this scrap here that I have, and I'm going to see if I can just hold it on and cut. It's pretty straight here. And this is the lid. Okay, move these out of the way. Okay, so this is going to fit on there. Now, do we want to put pattern paper on all of this? So if you do, I'm not going to have one big enough. So I think I'm going to leave this black. And I want the lid here to be this one. Let me see if it's big enough. This is one of those that I cut and didn't need. Yeah, it's going to work great. Okay, move my pattern out of the way. So this is for the lid. And I'm going to line it up right on the bottom. Oops, and just cut along the cardstock piece. So maybe I was supposed to cut out those extra squares. Just a little smaller here. I hope I haven't messed it up. Let's see. This is going to fit right there. So this is going to go right here. Put it on the best we can. Burnish that on. A little black edge showing, so I'll cut it almost too small, but it may be still trimmed down some. So that's the lid. So I'm going to line the inside. Let's see. I wanted to use this orange check. I just don't think I've got a scrap that's big enough. So I'm going to use this one right here. This is that other square that I cut out. Okay, so cut that one out. That's going to go inside, right there. This is a pretty good sized little treat box. You can fill it with lots of candy. I don't have any candy. I haven't bought any Halloween candy. I'm trying to stay away from it because if I buy it, then I just eat it every day, and that's not good. Okay, so we got that. Now, do you want the inside lined? And it depends on how much you want to add to it. And these are going to be glued together. Now, I think I want to put spider webs on the outside. So I'm going to cut these because these are rectangles. So let me measure. Just me and this ruler don't get along very good. So this is 5.5 by, I'm going to cut it 5.5, just under 5.5 by 1 inch. So I'm going to cut those strips 1 inch. What did I say I wanted to use? Spider webs. Grab the orange. Spider webs. Cut it 1 inch pieces. I need 2 for the long side. And that was 5.5, so make it a little bit shorter than 5.5. Just cut it an 1/16 off, and then I'll see what it measures of how it looks. So yeah, that works. So 5 and 15/16. No, not 15/16, but 5 and 7/16. Thereabouts. So you just go ahead and cut it the way you want. So that's there. I'll glue these 2 on. And you pattern it, add pattern papers as much as you want, depending on how much work you want to put into each one you make. You know, you might want to not do as much. Definitely, for a lot of your pattern paper, if you can, use your scraps. Okay, so these, I need 2 that are not quite 3 inches, are they? And they've got a little angle to them. 2 3/8, so just under 2 3/8. Put them down to 1 inch first. 2 3/4. I mean, it was 2 3/4, so bring it down a little bit. Cut 2 of those. It's just going to be a little bit of an angle. See if I can do that. Oops, upside down. There we go. Just a slight angle. Maybe need to make it a little bit longer, but I'm going to go with this. Works. Next, now we have these 2 short ones that are 1 3/4, so just under that. To bring this together, I cut 6 from the orange square from that scrap, 1 by 1 pieces, and then I folded in half. Then I went along and I made sure that all my sides were 1 inch tall. Let's see here. Got one here that's a little bit taller than that, so I'm going to trim it down. Let me measure, even though I've already put my pattern paper on. Next time I make one, I will do a little bit better. So, right there. Just at an angle from here down. Just needs to be about 1 inch on the sides, okay? Across the top. This one's just a little bit more here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is on the inside, I'm going to put glue on each 1/2 inch section, and I've got the fold, and I'm going to bring up a side. I'm going to glue it to one end with the fold on the edge, on the corner, and bring up the other one, and so bring these together like that on each join where they join together. And I'm using different paper because I just thought it would, you know, the contrast would be really cool. So bring the little sides together and then use the little squares to join them. When I saw they just glued the sides together, and I decided that this would look better and work easier than trying to hold all those edges together. And you got scraps of paper, so it doesn't take a whole lot to cut 6 1-by-1 squares. And I think I like the contrast. And it does leave a little gap on the inside. You know what? That's okay. It's a little coffin. It doesn't it's supposed to be perfect. That's what I like to think about Halloween is nothing has to be perfect. Okay, so if it sticks out a little bit too much on the top, you might trim it. Did I not cut enough? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need one more. I may have lost one. Oh, there it is. I just need to ink it and fold it. So I did cut 6. I just misplaced one. Goblins got it, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So while I'm working on this, I forgot on day 2 to ask a question, I think. But today's question, if you care to comment and tell me how you like the project so far and these bonus projects, is what's your favorite Halloween movie that you like to watch, that you have to watch every Halloween or leading up to it? Put that in the comments along with your other comment about the projects. Just give us some chatter here as we're watching the video. Mine is, it's hard. I have several. I must watch Hocus Pocus every year. And then I like Ghostbusters and Beetlejuice. So yeah, those are some of my favorite Halloween. So there's the bottom of the box put together. Now our lid. Hopefully I didn't cut it too small. If I did, I'll have to redo it because it's just supposed to fit. Not exactly. It's supposed to overlap just a little bit. So it's almost right. I am going to recut. I got enough cardstock scraps. A wide enough one, maybe. Now, I have to find some bigger scraps. Oh, there's one. Perfect. So I'm going to lay it on here and trace around my actual box. Not use the pattern. Don't push in too far though. Don't push those sides in, which I may have done. Right there, I did. Erase that. Don't want that curve. So I'm going to cut from here to the other point, and this one from the point to the point, and hopefully I've got a good fit. For the lid. So I'm going to erase some of this. Well, let's see how the box goes. So this just lays on it. It's not going to be attached on. Yeah, that's let me turn this over. I think this is better. Yeah. I believe that's going to work. Maybe. Just lay it right there. Okay. Yeah, that'll work. Now let's get some patterned paper on it. You know, I'm going to put this on the inside, I think, to give it some support. So I'm going to glue this together. I'm not going to waste it. Just going to glue this in. So I'm doubling the inside of the casket lid. And that just makes it a little bit stronger. And then I'm going to put pattern paper. It's not wide enough now. So I'm going to find another big scrap. Be right back. So I really like this print for it, and that's what I pulled out. I had this piece. So I'm going to line this up. And we're going to, I think, just cut it. Cut it to fit. Okay. The glue. Right. So there's the lid that's going to just sit on there. Okay. See that? Double it makes it a little bit stronger. And then I inked this skull, and I'm going to put that right up there. This is from my stash. I think it was a Heidi Swap or something. Let's see. So that goes there, tag. And then my skeleton was off camera. I kind of wrapped him in some gauze and added some ink, mummified him sort of. And if you don't have candy, you can put him in there or put him in there with candy. That. Okay. And then see, I like the corners. And this you can pattern or leave it plain. I'm going to leave mine plain. So I'm going to lay this on here. Now I'm going to take my ribbon and the button string, and I'm going to tie them together in a knot down here on one end. And we're going to tie this closed. So we're going to bring this around, pick it up. Plenty of it, so I'm not sure how much I had. Before I tie that together, I want to put this, do I want to put this tag on there? I'm going to tie it up first, see how it looks. So these together, just bring this up and tie it in a bow. Kind of about in the center. So you just adjust your lid. Tie this in a bow. That. Put it up a little higher if you wanted to. There you go. And then on the back, we're going to put something to hold it down. That will make sure it holds. Push it up. And if you wanted to, you could secure it with some tape before you glue this down, but I think this is going to work just like that. I'm going to burnish this a little bit, especially in the middle so that it catches that ribbon. Okay, so then we flip it back over and we straighten up our lid. It's okay if the toes peek out, I guess. So let's untie this so we can get it tied back on. Like this right here. So like I said, this is, you know, pretty disposable. I'm just going to go ahead and tie these together into a knot. Stretch it out. Make sure I tie them both together into a knot. Okay, trim that off. Got the lid on after we put our treats or whatever inside for a gift or a party favor. Or fun to make one if you're having a party, make one for each person. Okay, so there's that. Then I kind of fluff up the bow, kind of separate them. There we go. This is what I was going to put on there, but happy hunting. So I have a little bit of, I have some more of this string. Let me grab some more. I have plenty. Cut some string just so I can tie it on somewhere. So thread it through. Tighten a knot. And just trim that off. And to make it simpler, I'm just going to glue it on so that we can still tie our bow. So right here at the base of his skull, I'm going to glue that little knot on there, and then this will hang down like that. So that, then I have this caution tape, washi tape, and always make sure, even though it's sticky, I put some glue on the back because it typically will usually eventually peel up. So the glue makes it more permanent. And I'm just going to stick it right in here. Okay. So there, what do you think? I think that does it. That's cute. I like that. Okay. So check for the pattern in the description, the link to it. It goes to my Google Docs, and then you can print that up. And there is a little coffin party favor treat box. Kind of spooky. I kind of like it. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching day 3 of my 13 Frights Before Halloween. Come back tomorrow about 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time for day 4. And we'll start making probably the acetate pocket on the first section of the inside of the book. Okay, that's it for today. Bye-bye.